You'd turn on the radio, crank up the volume, and that riff would blow your mind. You'd scream the chorus like it was your own, not knowing that, on the other side, the person who wrote it hated it. Behind some of the greatest rock anthems, there's anger, rejection, and even embarrassment. That's why, in this video, you'll discover 12 iconic rock songs that, even though they made history, their creators would rather erase from the map. Songs that made them famous, but also ones that make them uncomfortable, haunt them, or that they just can't stand anymore. Stay until the end, because some of these stories will shatter the image you had of certain bands, and you'll see that, in rock, not everything that shines is something they want to play again. This song became Neil Young's first and only #1 hit on the Billboard Hot 100. Released in 1972 as part of the Harvest album, despite its commercial success, Young distanced himself from the song over time. In later interviews, he revealed that the track took him into a comfortable folk pop zone that didn't align with his true artistic intentions. Young even went as far as to say that Heart of Gold put him on the middle road, a creative space he described as boring. The song became so popular that, according to the musician, it ended up overshadowing the more experimental aspects of his discography. This led him to take a darker, more raw direction in his future projects. In his Decade album, Neil included a handwritten note that ended with a phrase that sums it all up. "This song made me famous, but it also made me uncomfortable." The internal conflict between artistic integrity and commercial success has haunted him ever since.
I once loved a girl, silhouetted anger.
Released on Another Side of Bob Dylan in 1964, this song tells in detail the emotional breakup between Dylan and Suze Rotolo, including personal references to her family. The tone of the lyrics was so blunt that even Dylan's own fans considered it unnecessarily cruel. Years later, Bob Dylan admitted that he deeply regretted recording it. In an interview with Rolling Stone, he said it was a song he should never have written, explaining that it was created during a moment of anger and emotional turmoil. Unlike his other works with political or social content, this was an almost intimate revelation that, in his own words, had no real artistic justification. Since then, he has rarely included it in his live performances.
Just like an angel.
Released in 1992, Creep was Radiohead's first major international hit, included in their album Pablo Honey. However, lead vocalist Tom York and the rest of the band have had a complicated relationship with the song, to the point of avoiding it at many of their concerts. York even referred to Creep as a song that stopped belonging to them, saying he felt typecast by the audience, as if Radiohead was defined solely by that track. For years, the band tried to distance themselves from the image associated with the song. During a 1997 concert in Montreal, the band refused to play it, despite persistent requests from the crowd, which led to boos. This was followed by a long period where Creep was completely excluded from their live repertoire.
Yes, I need it.
Included on the GNR Lies album in 1988, this song has been one of the most controversial in Guns N' Roses' career. The lyrics contain offensive terms directed at minorities and law enforcement, which sparked massive criticism upon its release. Axl Rose, who wrote the lyrics, initially tried to justify it as a reflection of real experiences, but over time, he changed his stance. Years later, he admitted that he no longer identified with the song's message and vowed he would never play it live again. Rose even confessed that he regrets including it on the album, acknowledging that it doesn't reflect the values he or the band hold today. Since then, the song has been completely removed from the official catalog during tours and reissues. Do you think a band can evolve and reject part of its own legacy? Let me know your thoughts below. I'd love to hear your opinion on this controversial topic.
Drops rain down on me tonight.
This song is part of Las Vegas's debut album, released in 2008. Written by James Allen, the band's lead vocalist, the lyrics are a raw confession about the guilt a man feels after cheating on someone who loves him. While the song was praised for its honesty, Allen has since said that he would rather not have recorded it. In later statements, the musician explained that it was a very personal and emotional moment that perhaps shouldn't have been turned into a public song. He felt it exposed too much of his private life, and, over time, he lost his emotional connection to that version of himself. Allen also stated that although the song helped define the band's style, he never felt comfortable performing it live. In fact, in interviews, he avoided talking about it, and during later tours, they chose to leave it out of their set list. Released in 1996 on the album White Light, White Heat, White Trash, this song reflects a moment of introspection from Mike Ness, the lead singer of Social Distortion. In it, he confesses past mistakes and destructive behaviors in a more vulnerable tone than what's typical in punk rock. Despite its sincerity, Ness has mentioned in interviews that he struggles to listen to it or perform it live, as it reminds him of a difficult period in his life that he'd prefer to leave behind. Although he hasn't explicitly said he regrets it, his discomfort with the song has been clear. I Was Wrong became an anthem for many fans, but for Ness, it's more of a reminder of decisions he would never make again. Released in 1991 as part of the Out of Time album, this song was an immediate commercial hit. However, both the public and the band noticed from the start that its cheerful, almost childlike style drastically contrasted with Rem's usual tone. Michael Stipe, the band's lead singer, never hid his disdain for the track. Stipe stated on several occasions that Shiny Happy People was written as a sort of joke or children's song, and that it didn't reflect the band's artistic direction. It was quickly dropped from their tours and became an uncomfortable subject whenever it came up in interviews or public requests. Over time, the band decided to almost completely remove it from their live catalog. Even in documentaries and official compilations, Rem has downplayed its presence, giving it a very secondary role in the band's history. Considered by many as the masterpiece of classic rock, this song, released in 1971 on the Led Zeppelin IV album, is one of the most famous in history. However, Robert Plant has stated in several interviews that he grew deeply tired of it, to the point of avoiding it. Plant admitted that the song made him feel uncomfortable, and he couldn't stand the weight it carried on his public image. For years, he refused to perform it, and made it clear that if it were up to him, he would never sing it again. In 1988, during a reunion concert, Plant even joked that Stairway to Heaven gave him hives. While the song remains revered by millions, its main creator has kept a clear distance from its legacy. Can you separate the artist from their work when you know they don't even like what they've done? Let me know in the comments if this changes your perception of the song. Yes, Guns N' Roses again, and you probably didn't know this story. One of the most recognizable riffs in rock was almost born as a joke. Guns N' Roses guitarist improvised the melody during a rehearsal while warming up. Axl Rose turned it into a song, and the rest is history. The track became a massive hit on the 1987 album Appetite for Destruction. Despite its worldwide recognition, Slash has openly said he doesn't like the song. He considers it too soft and doesn't feel it represents what he wanted to achieve with the band. While he enjoys the riff, he feels that the rest of the song doesn't match the identity of Guns N' Roses. Over time, Slash has resigned himself to playing it out of respect for the audience, but he's never stopped expressing that it's one of the songs he most identifies with the least. Released in 1995 on the album What's the Story Morning Glory, this song propelled Oasis to international stardom. It's one of the most played and covered songs in modern history. However, Liam Gallagher has repeatedly stated that he can't stand it. Liam has not only expressed that he doesn't like the song, but he also considers it overrated. In interviews, he's claimed that there are much better songs in Oasis's catalog that didn't receive half the attention Wonderwall got. He even went as far as saying he felt ridiculous performing it live. While the audience cheers every time it plays, the song's creators have a completely distant relationship with it. They don't even include it as a central part of their current performances. Released in 1987 as part of the album of the same name, this song with lyrics celebrating the adult club scene and a provocative tone quickly became one of the band's most famous tracks. It was a reflection of the excess and recklessness that defined the glam metal scene of the 80s. Over the years, Nikki Sixx, bassist and main songwriter, has admitted that he regrets the message conveyed in the song. In interviews, he has acknowledged that the misogynistic tone no longer represents his current values, and that if he could go back, he probably wouldn't write it the same way. Although the song remains part of the band's classic repertoire, its creator has distanced himself from its message. In retrospect, Sixx has admitted that the image they projected during that period is something he's not proud of. Jump was released in 1984 and became Van Halen's biggest commercial hit. It marked a notable change in the band's style, with its prominent use of synthesizers, a direction driven by Eddie Van Halen. The track reached #1 on the charts and marked a new musical direction for the group. David Lee Roth, the band's original vocalist, expressed in interviews that he never liked the sound shift represented by Jump. He stated that the keyboards didn't reflect the raw rock style he believed was the essence of Van Halen, and that the song didn't artistically represent him. Although the song remained a fan favorite, internally, it marked a creative division. Roth became increasingly uncomfortable with the direction the band was taking, which contributed to his departure shortly afterward. And there you have it, a list of iconic tracks that, while they became unforgettable, ended up being a bit of a burden for those who created them. It's interesting to think about how a song can change a band's life, and at the same time, leave them with a thorn in their side. Sometimes, what we consider timeless art, to them, is just a phase they'd rather leave behind. Now, I want to hear from you. Is there a famous song that you love, but were surprised to learn its creator hates? Or even better, is there a song you can't stand, even if it's a classic? I'm reading your comments. And as always, if you enjoyed this time travel, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. See you in the next video, where music remains eternal.